Hello travelers! I am Lorekeen, your traveler's guide to Tyria. In our last episode we witnessed the efforts that different groups of Sylvari make in order to live their life on their terms. Today we'll start our trip with a visit to the second Lion-Guard Haven.
We're here to help the Sylvari integrate into society, right?
Yeah. It's our duty as older races to help these sprouts grow and learn.
Why do so many of them seem to have the wisdom of the ancients?
Like the previous haven that we visited, this one is also under construction, but not because they are understaffed.
I don't know why we allow that Asura from the Dermot Priory to continue his work upstairs right here in the Haven.
It is not our habit to turn anyone away from the Haven without good cause.
Yeah, but Asura by themselves are obnoxious. Dermot Priory by themselves are obnoxious. And the Dermot Priory, who's also an Asura, really gets under my fur.
So, remind me again, what was it exactly that drew you to join the Lion Guard?
Here the delay in construction is caused by researcher Flit, who is studying the ruins on top of which the Lion Guards are trying to build the Haven. This could be a major breakthrough, but Flit won't tell you much about it, because he has to put in extra effort to work around the Lion Guards, which in turn puts him in a bad mood. But I am in a great mood, so here's the scoop: the ruins are of the Temple of the Unseen and its towers. Maybe Flit is hoping you will find the Scepter of Orr here, but that won't happen, because you see, a couple of 100 years ago a hero came by and stole it. The Scepter of Orr and its counterpart, the Staff of the Mist, were relics from the Kingdom of Orr, forged before the gods left Tyria. The history of these legendary weapons is long and complicated, intertwined with the history of Tyria itself, and some of it has even been forgotten. But in very simple lines, it goes like this: when dragons awake, they eat the magic that flows around the world, destroying whole civilizations. Last time the dragons awoke, the Seers, an enigmatic race from long ago, managed to save some of this magic. They used a Shadowstone, which is a power amplifier, to lock the magic in a Bloodstone, which is a sort of battery. Then the gods came to Tyria, bringing humanity with them. After a while, the gods tasked Abaddon, the god of water and secrets, to give the Bloodstone away to some of the races of Tyria, thus giving them the power of magic. The scepter and the staff are also gifted to some of these nations, for protection, as the weapons are able to control forces outside reality, like the Titans. But power corrupts, so the wielders of these weapons started to unleash horrors upon Tyria, and with the magic flowing freely, a war started, the bloodiest of all. This led to Dork the Human King, to come before the gods and ask them for help. Most of the gods agreed, used Dork's blood to seal the stone, then broke it in 5 pieces and threw them in a volcano. This pissed Abaddon and he started a war against the other gods. He was eventually defeated and then imprisoned in the realm of torment. That didn't stop him from plotting away, and he is behind most of the things that went wrong in Tyria, from Shiro's betrayal that led to the unleashing of the Jade Wind, to getting the Titans to give searing cauldrons to the Char, which led in turn to the searing of Ascalon and the Char's march to Orr. Basically, everything you fight against during all the campaigns of Guild Wars 1. The Temple of the Unseen and the Scepter of Orr enter the story in 1072, during the Civil War in Krita. We talked quite a bit about the subject when we visited the ruins of the Temple of the Ages. Link in the description. The White Mantle managed to recover the legendary artifact and they keep it in this temple dedicated to the Mursaw, or the Unseen Ones. Dinaz, a shining blade spy disguised as a White Mantle scribe, infiltrates the temple to keep an eye on the scepter until a hero is sent to take the weapon off Dinaz's hands.
I didn't think when we met off the Delesio seaboard that I would be giving you the Scepter of Orr.
From here the scepter is taken by Avinia and given to Vizier Kilbran. He was a powerful mage, former advisor of the King of Orr himself, and he promised to help in the fight against the mantle. But like I've said earlier, Abaddon was behind everything. It turns out that Vizier Kilbran, fearing the invasion of Char, was tricked into finding and then reading a dark incantation from the Lost Scrolls. This defeated the Char armies, it also sank Orr. It was thought that Kilbran was a survivor, but it is then discovered that the cataclysm did not spare him. Instead, the disaster transformed him into an undead lich, who was now trying to use the scepter to bring the Titans to Tyria. Don't worry, a hero defeated him. Twice actually. First they killed him on top of the Ring of Fire Bloodstone, and then again, in the Realm of Torment, before defeating Abaddon himself. And you can kill him again in Guild Wars too. All you have to do is visit his tower in Orr. As for the scepter's fate after that, well, you'll have to ask Livia about it. Today only ruins are left from the temple. We can still see part of a wall and some crumbling towers. When sneaking to steal the scepter during Guild Wars 1, for the bonus mission, you could have taken out all the watchmen, so that Cedric could smuggle weapons to the Shining Blades. With all this history, it's no wonder we have so many researchers around. Except these ones are not here for the temple exactly. They came to this place to study the Skritt. It seems that after the defeat of the White Mantle, the temple was abandoned, so a group of Skritt decided to make it their home where the shrine used to be. Maybe some of the dark energy of the Mursaw still lingers here, because these Skritt are far more aggressive than most. They even named their home the Unseen Scratch. More than that, if you venture in their nest, you will find a mysterious blue ball. We found similar ones in the Spelunker's Delve. Throw it at the gate to destroy it and you will find a hidden room with 10 golems, all named Eye of the Unseen. Not creepy at all. There is a chest in the back of the room that you can loot and then be out of here with no problem. If you don't touch the shiny. If you do touch the Sacred Skritt shiny, you will receive 10 achievement points and a Sacred Skritt shiny shard for the Treasure Hunter achievement. And all the golems will activate. Here you can also perform Ode to the Shiny for the legendary focus, the Minstrel.
Ugh, mean lady! Big ears! Plenty of nice shinies, but mean! Meanie lady!
But take Meanie's shinies makes Meanie mad.
Mad meanie! Fun! Fun, fun!
The meanie lady is Zipty. Her crew leader, Dekti, has tasked her with studying the issue of the Skritt. For this, Zipty left out tracking devices for the Skritt to find and they take them because they are shiny. But then they tinker with the devices and they turn them off. So if you want to help, turn the devices back on or provide the stimuli for the Skritt by knocking over their shiny things, or just fight them directly. Or maybe you prefer a more indirect approach? If so, you can provide input parameters to the golems Teeny, Tiny, Itty, Bitty and Frank so they can perform experiments. For your work here, your name will be included in the footnotes of the research. Furthermore, a copy of the report of your activities will be sent to you and the Arcane Council. Periodically Dekti, the crew leader, will send Apprentice V to take the next set of data from here. Of course the Skritt have collected the trackers. After retrieving them, V will go back to Dicty, and Zipty will send RNR 336 runner to deliver the data to Apprentice Wid, so we can begin work on a new prototype.
Greetings, researcher. Here is the latest data set.
Yet another set! Why are we wasting so much effort on Skritt?
Reason unknown, researcher.
Of course it's unknown. It was a rhetorical question. Very well. I'll begin work on a new prototype.
Researcher Wood is stationed at Mabon Market. He is also supposed to do extensive research on that Skritt population. More precisely, Dekti has tasked him with the subcognitive technology part of the study. But Wood feels it's a waste of his prodigious talent to spend time on these walking rats, and to be here in this backwater jungle instead of Radisum. He could leave, but then he would lose the funding, and well, Dekti allows him free rein with his personal experiments. According to Apprentice Jenna, this free rein status is being given as long as Dekti doesn't know about any of these side projects.
I saw tiny little creatures running all around the market.
Those were just Asura. Yes, they're little and a bit strange, but some of them are quite friendly.
No, these weren't Asura. These were tiny little creatures. Miniature versions of big creatures, scampering everywhere.
One of these projects is to try and use this gate to develop a form-shifting organic ooze lifeform, aka the Fool.
Apprentice, prepare to test my latest personal experiment. With this, we'll finally leave that deadweight crew behind.
The form-shifting organic ooze life form?
Of course the FOOL! What other latest personal experiments would I be talking about?
What form did you pick this time?
One of those strange Norn pack animals.
Probability that this experiment will be successful, 9.9%.
Quiet! I made you. I can unmake you. Open the gate and send it through.
Yes, sir. It's back and intact.
Success.
Probability of lasting success, less than 9.9% and falling.
Uh-oh. That can't be right. Genna, what have you done?
The oozes disguised as various animals will try to escape, and since the mass of the beings can't change that much, the animals will be in a mini form. If Chief Dekti hears about this, things will be problematic, so maybe you can help the Golem ZXS-705's Axis recapture the oozes and force them back to their true form.
You are my favorite.
Be warned, carrying one of these oozes will give you an unstable full effect, as the escaped experiments might explode at any moment.
That's the last of them.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. Get back to work.
Probability that all FOOLs were recovered, 81.2%. Probability that local residents will resent our presence, 14.4%.
Back to work, I said, and don't mention this to anyone.
The majority of the residents are Sylvari, and here is where they start to have a closer contact with their neighboring races. One of the residents, Fidelma, can finally shed some light into the Sylvari diet. She is barely a few days old, so she struggles with excesses, especially when it comes to food and sleep. I sympathize. Anyway, at the moment, she had a bit too much doliac on a stick. And if that surprises you because you were thinking that Sylvari eat manure like crops do, first of all you should know that they are not crops, but living breathing sentient race, capable of knowing that it could be insulting to call races crops. They eat whatever everyone here eats, meat, bread, dairy products, ale. And she would never ever eat manure. Unless it was prepared just so. Although there used to be a human village here, no trace of it remains, as it was probably washed away when it arose. In its place we now have Mabon Market. If you discovered the secrets of the obscure, you probably already know who this market is named after. According to some recently discovered books, the market itself is not very old, around 30 years, and it is born out of Sylvari's curiosity and courage to explore the world. Mabon was one of the first Sylvari brave enough to venture into the wild and move beyond the walls of their garden sanctuary. From those same books we learn that Mabon, Ophelia and Myrtle have friends in high places. Rumors are that Myrtle makes an incredible fresh basil tea, with just a pinch of buttermilk. Maybe those friends help keep this place safe from the Risen, the Warden's patrol sure must have helped too. Regardless, this little settlement is an oasis of peace in an otherwise tormented place. That is if you disregard Wood's constant commotions. After he finishes processing the data he received from V, he will send his prototype, Mira and agglomeration device to Dekti, via a moss heart. The prototype for MAD is the only one in existence and, if it isn't obvious from the name, it attracts Skritt. After the moss heart leaves, Wood won't be able to shake the feeling someone made a mistake somewhere.
Why in Vex's name was the MAD active for the trip here? It's impressive you made it intact. Oh, well, at least it's here. V, follow me! It's time for a scientific breakthrough!
And here we finally meet Dekti, the project leader. She set up her lab here in this Tengu trading post because of its vicinity to the sizable Skritt community. She was wary of starting a lab at a Tengu outpost, but they can supply some very unique research materials. The Tengu don't let them stay here for free. The Asura promise them they try to set up an Asura gate to help their efforts of expanding trade. But only if the Skritt research goes well.
Once the Asura gate is finished, we can set up a trading post in Lion's Arch. That seems so far away. I know, but it will pay honor to the ancestors if we broaden our trade reach. Our weapons will sell well there. I've heard they cook their food before eating it. Even the rats?
Dekti is interested in Skritt's particular type of intelligence, since the individual is usually dumb, but in mass gatherings, they seem to exhibit intelligence far beyond that seen in most races. Other than Asura, of course. Her theory is that annoying sounds the Skritt make are really superaural signals for communication. So Dekti and her crew create these devices, like the MAD, to encourage the Skritt to arrive and participate. She would appreciate it if you protect the MAD from Skritt while she works. Dekti is not trying to learn to communicate as fast as the Skritt, in chirps and buzzes, but maybe, through her research, she might know how to disrupt them. Or the Asura could set our golems up to coordinate with each other better or something. She is sure she'll find some way to profit from this.
How do you like living and working outside the wall?
The Sylvari make decent neighbors. They do, however, ask too many questions.
I couldn't agree more.
Why do your people live behind that wall?
To be safe.
I would love to see what's on the other side.
Only Tengu are allowed behind the wall, no others.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, my ancestors could fly. No, I cannot. Now trade.
And now hit the like button. Or note your impression on our trip below in the comments. Whatever you do, just don't forget to subscribe and click the notification icon, because in the next episode we will meet other Asura experts and learn about other fascinating cultural studies. Until then, happy exploring!